Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
This is So I'm Watching the Show, your new favorite pop culture YouTube channel where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. I wanted to record an intro because we're going to release some very old test footage of ours that was Riverdale. We covered season 1 and 2 of Riverdale, and because we have had so much fun with that show, for better and worse, and because it's been one of some of our most popular content, I was like, we've got this footage. It's not great. Like, our audio's bad. Yeah. We look different. There is no set. Yeah. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, I think the conversation is good. Mm-hmm. And I think it's worth releasing.
It's in my old dining room.
So yeah, we're definitely going to release season 1, probably season 2. And that's what this is. This is just a little intro for our Riverdale season 1 and 2 content. So you got to have options.
I see.
So please do enjoy.
Sorry.
We're back. Okay. Episode 4 of season 1 of Riverdale, The Last Picture Show.
Correct.
Okay. I am so glad we're doing this.
Me too.
I vividly remember watching a lot of these episodes.
Yes.
But my memory was that this was the episode where the show actually took off.
Kicked into
high gear.
Okay.
And I agree with that, rewatching it. Would you?
Yes.
I have a specific reason why.
Is it the scene with Alice and Fred? And,
yes.
Yeah. Alice, Fred, Betty, and Archie and Miss Grundy in the music room.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay.
It's so good.
Because, though, it begins at the drive-in when Mitch and Amick comes up to Fred's car and goes, oh, we need to talk about our children.
Well, Alice has been on the show. Okay, so we already mentioned, but it's worth saying again.
Yeah.
We are Alice Cooper stans, if ever there were.
Yeah.
She's been on the show. She's been on the periphery for the first 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. But this is the first time that she's really an active player in the show.
Well, and so she's been in it, but it's also, it's been just enough for you to be like, her relationship with Betty is weird.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to, like, get where she is with everybody.
She is such a piece of work in this episode. It is... And if this is your first time, it tones down.
It's like a couple of lateral moves.
Yeah, no, she tones down. She gets more reasonable because she's coming from a very desperate place right here.
That's true.
But this show, many teen shows threaten you with parents. Mm-hmm. And there is a scale of how effectively they use the parents.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, this is all the way on the end of the scale with Teen Wolf, where it's like the parents are very active parts of the show.
Yeah, so it's like this show, Teen Wolf, like you said, and then I'll say Dawson's Creek and My So-Called Life treat the parents
They're
really well.
Active on Dawson's Creek?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They get whole plots.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Mary Beth Peele has, like, a love life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we've had, in particular, Fred, Alice, and Hermione.
Yeah.
Are like the 3 that we start off with, but this is our introduction to FP.
Yeah.
Who becomes a staple of the show.
We also don't even find out that he is FP, like, that he is Jughead's father until the end of the last scene of the episode.
Which, Cole Sprouse actually pulls off that clunky line. It's like a super exposition-y line where he's like, I'll find a way, Dad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I just feel like a lesser actor would be like, I'll find a way, Dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it's almost like he's been acting since infancy.
He's good. And back to Mitch and Amick, she is a piece of work in this entire episode and thus far. And she's so good in the scene, but she has, moving past it real quickly, the scene she has with Betty at the end of the episode where you can actually see sort of it's not remorse.
No, but it's like you can see the damage that whatever's happened with Polly has done to Alice, and you can see the damage it's done to their relationship
But it's like, but by no means does she regret what she did, but she sort of is like, maybe that was a bit much.
Yeah.
Like how I handled that situation.
Maybe I went in guns blazing.
She did find a gun, though, in her teenage daughter's bureau while whistling Home on the Range.
Is that what she was whistling?
She was whistling Home on the Range. They were just like, get something royalty free out there. But
yeah, I mean, I understand about the gun. the problem for me is address the gun and, like, leave third parties out of it, because she goes in guns blazing against Archie in a way that it would, if it had been my family, it would have been, what the fuck do you have a gun for? That's the main event.
They did that. That scene was in the show, and to be honest, Archie needed someone to step in.
Of course, and of course. And,
I mean, not to dog Fred here.
No.
He would have eventually gotten there.
Of course. But also, it does facilitate the end of the Miss Grundy storyline, which is welcomed.
Bitches get shit done.
Yeah.
So, and I think in particular, because it's unfortunate that I actually don't think Fred and Alice ever get a lot of material.
No.
Considering that they're sort of the Archie and Betty of their generation.
Well, sort of. But yeah, I think it's too bad, just because I think the two actors had a lot of good chemistry.
And that is another thing that I think is apparent from early on.
Yeah.
That all of these actors actually like each other.
Yeah.
They have chemistry because it's not just, Lily Reinhart and Cole Sprouse have like good romantic chemistry. It's like KJ and Luke Perry's chemistry, and then Metchin and Lily's, and and just all of them, like even with each other, where it's like Luke Perry has good chemistry with the other kids
and the other parents, and I think part of that is because like half of these parents have worked with each other in this show 20 years ago.
They made a conscious effort to cast the roles of the parents as people who were on this show in the 90s and stuff.
Like 90210 or Melrose Place and stuff like that.
And so there was an automatic kinship amongst the parents and also with their children.
Yeah.
So I think it's very apparent, and just the way the Miss Grundy scene could have been handled terribly 5 different ways. At every possible turn, they pivot into the right direction or an interesting direction.
It's like one of the only times in the history of this show where everybody in the scene makes the correct decision.
I mean, I would say that happens more than... I would say it's not rare. It's not rare, but it's not a guarantee.
But it's nice. I liked that. I was like, yes, everybody, including Miss Grundy, is like, I'll quit and I'll leave.
Well, and it also, because I obviously remember, as evidenced by our previous coverages, I remember that this was the end we were building towards. But watching it again this time, I actually have a different appreciation and a decent appreciation for this plot line. I think the fact that episode 4 is done, and it comes up maybe twice more.
It does not keep.
We see
up.
her again.
Yeah,
but it
But it's out of this context.
Yeah, it's a decent payoff, and I especially just like the way that the show bends over backwards trying to soften her and make them seem like an exception and not a rule.
Right.
And then especially juxtaposed with Jughead's narration at the end about not knowing what they had in store or whatever, and then she gets into the car with the Lolita glasses and makes eyes at the boys and stuff, and you realize, oh shit, she actually is just that's actually kind of
a serial predator.
It's a little bit of a stroke of brilliance, and especially because you don't often see that from female characters.
True.
In hindsight, now being properly 4 years removed from it, I actually like this plot point a lot. It also feels like something that would happen to Archie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we're introduced to him as over the summer, he got the keys to the Porsche.
It's apparently KJ Appa 6 months previous to the beginning of this show was a scrawny little nothing. Okay, I guess.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
But so no, in hindsight, I think it all actually works. It's just one of those things that while you're in the thick of it, you're like, oh, is this the right thing to be doing?
Yeah.
But no, I love everybody's dynamic.
I agree with you. I'm glad that it happened because I think it informed a lot about a lot of different characters.
It really.
That I think, in that sense, I am satisfied with the storyline.
So we've glossed over it thus far, and I think that's because we are both well aware of what's coming. But we haven't really acknowledged Hiram or Hermione, the whole deal. So they're in town. Hermione and
Veronica
are in town because Hiram went to prison for insider trading. Do they ever actually say?
Like fraud and embezzlement and stuff.
White collar crime.
Like RICO stuff.
Yeah, and so they come back to Riverdale because it's where, well,
They're both from.
Yeah, both of them are from, but they make it's more Hermione's.
At the very beginning, Smithers or somebody says that it was the only property that's in Hermione's name.
Do you remember when Hermione was on this show?
Oh my god.
Because she's not anymore. And I say that before she left the show. But
we're both pretty...
it's actually making me mad because I'm
mad.
She was good. She was interesting. Like, I don't understand.
That's the problem, is she was interesting until Hiram showed up, and then they gave all of her interesting shit to Hiram in a way that, like, I just cannot get on board with Hiram.
We'll get there. We have things to say about Hiram, but it is it's nice watching these first episodes and seeing Hermione, and also it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
like, it's nice seeing her, but then it just bums me out after.
But so they are involved in some shady stuff, especially this episode we see her sneaking around with the Southside Serpent, who is like later revealed to be FP, who is Jughead's dad.
Yeah.
Cheryl didn't do much this episode except for be, I feel like, uncharacteristically. Yeah. Well, she's a pot stirrer, but she like threatens. She's like rude to Hermione as a waitress, and I don't know that abusing the help,
staff,
the staff is like a hallmark of Cheryl Blossom.
I mean,
they're still developing the characters at this point, but it sticks out a little bit to me. And also, she has these weird two friends in these episodes that I figured they were in the pilot and whatever, but they're like consistently
still there
in
for now.
The hair models of the damned.
Well, it does. We do get to a point where Cheryl is all alone at a certain point, so I feel like they do abandon her, but I don't know that it ends up being like a plot.
But we just never see them again in a way that some of the other people like pop back up. And as we've said several times, the last thing the show needs is more characters, but it's a little bit odd. Well, Hermione was dealing with FP because apparently Hiram is trying to buy the drive-in theater.
Yeah.
And do something with it.
I don't know, he had already hired the Serpents to like drive down the property value so that he could buy it. I have a feeling this is honestly, I think that the lead up to the prison starts here.
Okay.
I think that's all, it's like all one arc.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually have so much more to talk about. This is the first, okay, so one of our favorite things about Riverdale is the fake names. They start, it's called something. They start giving things like punny fake names.
Oh yeah. Well, like but all of these things were real.
The first one was Sleuthster.
Oh yeah.
So it's the first.
Search engine.
The search engine is Sleuthster because she's still saying Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
And Nancy Drew phases into Tracy True. So I was paying attention to try and catch when they actually start going off the rails with like the knockoff. They start giving like knockoff names.
She does still say like a lot of real New York things. Hermione lists off a lot, like going to Jean Georges and her Hermes bag and stuff. So
because they stop using brand names and start using like well, knockoff, like just like two vowels off.
No, but the Glamour J.A. and Spiffany's. That one took me all the way out.
But this is where I don't think we need to go on a tangent. I don't think we need to talk about the future of the show. I think we need to just focus on the moment right here, because I can already tell that you're gonna. But this is where we get that incredible scene with Kevin and his dad.
Oh, yes.
I remember watching this live. I remember being in my living room and seeing the scene where Kevin's talking to his dad, who is the sheriff, who is so hot.
So hot.
Martin Cummins.
Yeah.
So hot.
Tom Keller.
Stick around. He is on the show.
At certain points, he takes his top off.
He does take his... Yeah. And Veronica leers lustfully.
Pretty hard in a way that I was like, all right.
But I remember kind of being like, Lee, here we go. And they just have the most nonchalant conversation. So Sheriff Tom Keller knows that his son is gay. It's not a problem.
Right.
And So not only does he know, but it's like we've already had the coming out. We don't have to
Yeah.
do the very special episode of coming out on Riverdale. And they also have a sexually open, discreet, like short, but a sexually open conversation.
Yeah, because Tom Keller, Sheriff Keller, he's like, don't go cruising. We know what those woods are like, and there's a murderer on the loose.
And I mean, I've said several times, but it's like that is a real issue with gay youth.
Yeah.
They get on the apps and shit, and it's like a problem. Like, you can be talking to someone and have no idea how old they are. It's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I remember doing that when I was like 13 on AOL, but it's so different now.
Yeah.
It's so different now.
With actual, like, location trackers.
Yeah,
like, you
no.
can send your location to people.
There were definitely not location trackers, or I'm sure
and
I would
pictures.
have been
Like,
sold into white slavery.
it's an issue. Like, and so to see, this show actually tackle it, and the fact that they tackle it so nonchalantly is so important. And it continues on into the drive-in movie theater, because I love that Kevin's just part of the show at this point. Like, he's friends with, like, he's Betty's best friend, which is a plot that disappears.
Yeah.
They come back to it occasionally, but
Veronica best friends the shit out of him immediately.
He's also friends with Archie and Jughead.
Yeah.
He's also friends with Cheryl.
Yeah.
Like, we see him actually hanging out with people, and he meets another gay kid, hot as balls, Joaquin,
He's got these eyeballs, man.
and long greasy hair. He's so
And he's a
how
serpent.
greasy is his hair? So greasy.
Yes. Pulling that.
I can't find it. I've looked for
Clip
it.
from Bob's Burgers.
But
No, I love Joaquin. Love him. Love his eyeballs.
and we also get Ben, who is
oh yeah, he's around.
he's a nothing character.
He's always in the
but
background.
boy is he recurring
Yeah.
for a nothing character.
Yeah, for sure.
He was working at the drive-in.
The snack bar.
Yeah, and so we do meet the Serpents. We'll have plenty of time to talk about them.
Yeah, this
I
is
don't have
like-
a problem with the Serpents, but they're never my favorite.
Yeah, but I was just remembering we have to go through all of that like tall boy stuff again. As a concept, I like the Serpents. In execution, it leaves a little to be desired.
Oh, I forgot that Mara McCoy was such a badass
Oh, yeah.
from the beginning. She's more interesting than Josie is, and she has more like plot that actually means something to the show. She's
like
the mayor.
in the midst too of like a real estate deal with Hermione Lodge, and like that's fascinating. The two of them, and then it just
And they're
ends
both
up-
so sneaky about it, and
yeah,
like
and then it turns into like not only I don't want
Robin Givens. We
it
love
is
Robin Givens. She's
I
so
was gonna
good.
get into like a really long string of spoilers, and I won't.
Don't, no.
but all I'll say is that all of the interesting stuff between Sierra and Hermione just turns into like men doing it, and I'm like,
Man, you're right.
I am right.
Ugh.
And so it's like watching it from the beginning now, I'm like, why did they give all this interesting shit to just dudes?
Yeah. I mean, they never, I guess I was gonna say they never screw over Alice that way, but
They don't take her story away and give it to a
Yeah.
man, but men take her wind, I guess.
she's mentioning makes a force.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else? There was a lot in this episode,
This
actually.
episode was jam-packed. Archie and Betty are like on the road to making up again, which is nice. We got a lot of the beginnings of Betty's sort of criminal history, where she's just like breaking and entering things, picking locks with bobby pins.
She found the gun in Miss Grundy's car.
Yeah,
We kind of just blew past that.
Yeah.
And that Miss Grundy was stealing people's identities.
Well,
and
that
so
she had stolen an identity, to which Archie received an answer from Miss Grundy, but it was...
There was like a bunch of them, or is that a spoiler? Is that from the... They find a bunch of IDs.
In the car?
No. Okay, so then that's a
later.
spoiler for coming. We find out that Miss Grundy is in fact a serial predator.
Yeah.
So, with sugar and milk. That was a risky,
That was
a risky
risky.
pun.
Not super into it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that was episode 4.